You know what? I don't even mind. Rebel.
For the result, though, nothing to discuss, cause I did by fault and without any doubt, I'm a me happy adult, I no go feed the girl, I no go feed the girl, it's out, I'm a mind that's
Welcome back to Friends Unfiltered podcast. I'm your host, Bill, and today I have a very special guest with me. And Friends Unfiltered is your judgment free zone for everything mental well being. So, Chente, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me today. I'm very honored to be here
It was a
today.
pleasure.
My name is Chente, also known as Chente or Safe Space. I am a counselor, therapist, and also a well-being event host. I'm also the founder convener of Safe Space Mental Health Support Group, which is a mental health organization that curates a safe space or creates a safe space for people to be able to have conversations around mental health and just find a community of people that actually cares and supports them.
So, if you follow me on Instagram, there was this Easter break where I went for a paint and sip session that was also with group therapy. So that was actually how we met. And I met so many other creatives there. I met Yebi as well. She would have loved to be here today, but we'll have her sometime else on the show. So let's dive right in. Childhood trauma. That is a very big word. So for the people that probably haven't heard of that before, or they probably think that's too deep to talk about, I want you to break it down for us so it's more digestible.
Okay, so I think I would explain childhood trauma, or I will explain trauma as the effect of what happened, right?
Okay.
Trauma is not basically what happened, but the effect of what happened to you, meaning that it's more like the scar that is left after an event happened, right? And as the word may say, childhood trauma, which is what may have happened to you in childhood and has left an effect that you're now dealing with probably as an adult.
So we're actually going to play a game.
Okay.
It's called Childhood Echoes. So basically, I'll read out a statement, and if it is true or relatable, you say, if it is true or relatable, you say Kai, like I can relate to that. And then if it's not true, you say Lai Lai, Kai for true, and Lai Lai for lie. So are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one, I often seek performance validation from colleagues, friends, or boss.
Kai, definitely Kai.
I have a hard time trusting people, even close friends.
Kai.
I have trust issues and struggle maintaining relationships, including friendships.
Kai, definitely Kai.
I struggle with inferiority complex and jealousy.
Oh my God, Kai. Kai.
Sometimes I feel like I'm on edge even when things are calm.
Kai.
I often withdraw or observe to avoid to finish.
Kai.
Ha. I often struggle with negative self-talk.
Kai.
Wow. Okay, so everything was very true and relatable.
Definitely.
So if you watch this as well, I want you to also join in the game. So if you did it, maybe just go back and actually put a finger down or go along with us. So these prompts are actually things that I came up with to deduce people that actually struggle with trauma, childhood trauma. So you, the specialty. So is that safe to say that you also have your own that you're dealing with?
Oh my God, I feel like as an African, we are built on childhood trauma. I feel like, in fact, as a Nigerian, you're built. In fact, what shapes you some of the times, what shapes us in our real life is because of the trauma that we've been through, right? There are a lot of things that now, as an adult, we are beginning to struggle with because of what happened to us in the past. So yes, definitely. I myself, as a counseling therapist, I definitely go through these things. I mean, it happens to everybody anytime, regardless of who you are.
Yeah, I think I can say so myself. I won't say that I'm also struggling with trauma, but that's not for the audience to know. I'll just say what it is. So, therapy. I mean, when I put it on for people to send in their dilemmas or stories through the Google form, some people struggle to do that because they felt like there are so many. Therapy is just what it is like when it gets to somewhere very severe before you now think you need therapy, like something is just very frowned upon, especially this side of the country or this side of Africa, of the world. Therapy is not normalized. It's like the last resort. When things are very bad, that is when you can now resort to therapy. So How is it like being a therapist in Nigeria?
Hmm. Yeah, actually, from my own
Yeah,
perspective,
from your
like,
perspective as a therapist in Nigeria, how has your experience been? Or as a counselor, as you call yourself?
okay, thank you very much. So I would say that it's been great. I mean, having to be able to work
Mm,
with people in their own part. It's beautiful. It's life changing. Sometimes
mm,
it has its challenges, right? I mean,
definitely.
you also having to struggle with your own and trying to navigate your own problems. But it's beautiful to be able to be there and help people de-escalate things because
Mm,
some of the times I think people feel like things are too big, you understand? And that is what a counselor or a therapist is there for you or is there with you to do, right? Is to break things into smaller parts. So you see that, oh, so this thing is not as big or as cumbersome as I thought it was,
mm-hmm.
right? So if I can learn to take this thing step by step, or if I can learn to break this into smaller bits, I think it will be easier for me to navigate that. And that is what, or that is the work of mostly a therapist and a counselor. That is what we help you do.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, most times people feel like uh, therapists have the answers to your problems. I mean, the thing is that you have the answers to your problems, right?
Mm,
Some of the times we are too overwhelmed to be able to put a hand and or put a hold and say, okay, this is what I should do, right? And this is what we help you do. We work with you in your own part for you to be able to say, okay, I think this and this is what I should do. We help you de-escalate things and help you break it into smaller pieces so that you understand that okay, if I take this part, this is the consequences. If I take this part,
mm.
then you use your free will to say, I think this is the best thing for me, and I'll
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you have the power of the choice.
exactly.
So that was one of the reasons I was excited to bring you to the show because I mean, as a mental health podcast, I don't want to be saying things off the back of my head or trying to guess. We want facts because
Yes,
we're trying to inform people, and the media is one big avenue to educate people, and you
sure,
have to know what you're saying because people can be misinformed,
sure.
and that is very dangerous, especially with something as sensitive and delicate as mental health. You also mentioned how people need to de-escalate things. And I remember when I did the episode on imposter syndrome, a lot of people did not even know what imposter syndrome was. They just saw it as something so big and scary and something that they hope not to struggle with. But at the end of the episode, like I got so many reviews from people saying that they actually struggle with imposter syndrome. And it's as little as belittling yourself or belittling your experiences. It doesn't have to be so severe. Like just the littlest things, just about not sugarcoating these things. Do you understand? So this episode, we have another game for you.
Mm.
And this game is called Myth or Magic.
Okay.
And they are basically just like the first one. When I say the statement, you say myth or magic. So these are rumors or myths around therapy.
Okay.
So if it's a myth, you say myth. And if it's true, you say magic. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so therapy should be the last resort as it is for severe cases.
Myth. Wait,
Therapy,
sorry, please to get that again. You said
if it's a myth, you say myth.
okay,
If it's
okay,
true, you
okay,
say magic.
okay, okay.
Therapists have structured solutions ready made for every life problem.
Myth.
Therapists become best friends with their clients.
Myth.
Okay, I said mostly trauma bonding. Like I'm sure that's also a myth. Therapy can be expensive and inaccessible.
Hmm. See the way
I
I
like the
just
way you did not
you
rush
understand? See
into
the way
that
I
one.
can I say something to this, like apart from meter magic?
Okay.
Okay, so um therapy in some places, especially in a country like Nigeria, sometimes I feel like it's expensive,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I mean, to get it some of the times
Yeah.
might be inaccessible. So when you finally get it, it's expensive. But I feel like there are other organizations that are get like that are giving like free therapy. So people should sort out those ones. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Like so, meat and magic,
Myth or magic
meat
is
and
a
magic.
mix.
It's a myth of
Okay. Therapists will judge you for your past. I think we both know the answer to
myth,
that one.
myth,
And then the last one, therapy is only for people with severe mental illnesses.
myth.
Okay. So the idea was actually to put all the myths and then put that one in between to maybe get.
Mm.
Well, I think you are smart, so that's good. All right. So we also did this the unfiltered takes now what I told you
Okay.
to share, and
Yes.
then people also sent to me. So I have a lot of their questions because I told them it's like free therapy. So if you
Okay.
have any questions for Chente, ask away. But people were scared, even knowing that it was anonymous.
Yes.
We're not going to know your names. You get to pick a character, and you can go wild. But they were just still scared. But like with time, they'll get more comfortable
Definitely.
to share. So I'm going to be taking the questions. Okay. For the sake of just generally, I took out everyone's names.
Okay.
So whether you put a phone name or your real name, I just took everyone's name out. So this person is saying, how can churches become safer spaces for people in the LGBTQ community who are curious about the Christian faith?
How can churches become safer
Yeah.
for people in the LGBTQ community?
The city is getting hot. Is it just me?
It's hot, like oh my god. So I don't know whether I have an answer to that, but I would say that I feel like beliefs are one of the strongest things that, especially in a country like this, is one of the things that we hold on to, right? Beliefs, what we believe, especially, I mean, if you grew up in a Christian home, you've been taught some things and all of that, right? But I feel like how churches can be safer is, first of all, by accepting every single person, right? I mean, I may not have, again, I may not have like...
What is accepting?
Accepting people for who they are, basically. I mean, straight, gay, bisexual, people are human beings, right? And I feel like that is the core of our being, is that we are humans, no matter what we identify as, no matter who we are, no matter what we believe in, right? We are first of all human beings.
So I think I'll just say that, yeah, accepting people in the sense of practicing the way Jesus loved.
True.
Jesus loved the sinner, hates the sin, but loves the sinner. And I'm not going to say more than that. So for the next question, okay, I think it's like a dilemma. This person says, I've never told anyone this, but I really disliked my siblings for the longest time. I felt like they were the reason I wasn't allowed to live my life. For context, I'm a first daughter and I have more than 2 younger siblings. I always had to be the model child. I couldn't go out, but my siblings could. They were always free to do things I wasn't allowed to do. I'm an adult now, but it's still the same. I can't move out. So what do you have to say to that?
Please, I need to process that question very, very clear. Can you go again with it?
So she's basically trying to say that she doesn't, or maybe I don't know whether it's recent, but she didn't like her siblings for the longest time because I think stemming from sibling jealousy, because they are younger siblings, they had the freedom that she didn't have. Her parents would not let her go out, but they could go out. And from what I'm seeing here, it seems like she's still living with her parents. So it's like she feels traumatically bound to the house. So she's struggling to even move out of that toxic space. So yeah, I think that's what this is trying to say. I could be wrong. So if this is you, just do well to try and explain further. But if I got it right, then over to you.
This is actually a lot, because I feel like growing up, she had to play the role of a parent, you understand, in the life of her siblings, which is not meant to be, right? The fact that you are the oldest siblings, right? It doesn't mean that you should have to take care of them, in quotes, right?
But in Nigeria,
I mean, again, Nigeria, they expect you to do some of these things, right? But I feel like there's so much that she needs to unpack, right? There's so much that she needs to unpack, like, firstly, asking, like, why does she hate them, right? Why does she feel this way towards them, right?
Sometimes, I mean, she made it clear that it's because they can do things that she can't. They have freedom that she can't express. So, what does she need to unpack exactly?
I think therapy is a lot of things, right? And under what she said, there's still a lot of things that like has been unsaid. Do you understand? Like layers to this that she needs to unpack, or she and her counselor or her therapist has to unpack, right? Which is one of the reasons why I'm not sure I can give like a definite answer or what she should do. But I feel like if you can go see a counselor or a therapist, I feel like it would be good.
But like from she now listening to this episode and hoping to get some little help from you, you have to have something for her.
What I would say is that I think she should learn to mostly confront some situations, right? Asking questions like, why wasn't I allowed to do this? Even if it means asking her parents some of the questions like, why did you have to put me in this kind of situation where I have to do this? And now I feel like I'm struggling to like be my own self, right? She needs to learn about herself, what she likes, what she dislikes. You understand? I feel like it's a time of self-discovery for her to know, what do I do?
Won't that also mean that she'll be taking a break from taking or looking after her younger siblings and looking after herself? So what if there's no space for her to have that break and she's constantly having to be present for them and be absent for herself?
She has to choose, she has to pick a struggle, as we say, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a detriment to your own mental health. Are you going to leave other people because of you have a lot of responsibilities and deny yourself of what you actually need?
Okay, so you're advising her for this time to be selfish.
To practice self-care.
Okay, what is the difference between being selfish and self-care?
They are two different things. You can be practicing self-care and still not be selfish, right? Self-care doesn't mean that you're selfish. It just means that you're putting your own needs first, right? You're putting what you want, what is going to make you better.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, so for the next question. So sometime in May 2021, the boy I was dating at the time knew I wasn't ready to have sex yet. I communicated this to him well because of my personal convictions and all. He kept on pressuring me, but I wasn't caving. So one day we were hanging out in his apartment. I should have seen the red flags, lol. And he brought up the conversation again. I gave him the same answer, only for 10 minutes later he was trying to have sex. I tried stopping him, but I don't think I was strong enough, both physically and mentally. I couldn't even comprehend what was going on. So that happened. Now, my question is, since that day in 2021, I've been unable to form any form of emotional connection with anyone. Even when there is emotional connection, I feel no ounce of sexual attraction. Everybody that has ever learned to kiss or leaned to kiss me or something, I know I somehow just turn my face away and I remember what happened back then. Sometimes it gets overwhelming and I start to cry. Am I going to be like this forever? What's going on?
This is a pure case of really a traumatic experience, right? And first of all, I feel like she has to believe that it's not her fault that any of those things happened, right? It's not your fault, and you shouldn't blame yourself. I know that maybe you might have felt like you put yourself in that position, but people have choices, right? The boy had a choice to look away and then say he's not doing or respect your wishes because consent is totally required, right? But she has to begin some form of healing, right? And healing will mean that she unpacks some of those things, that she confronts some of those situations that had happened, right? It might mean her again, I feel like therapy is too cumbersome and I don't have all the answers, but you and your counselor or your therapist will be able to unpack some of those things.
Okay, so let me just say, for the sake of this episode, clearly they can't get the answers that will help them heal.
Okay.
But give them a prompt, something to start. So she's clearly been abused sexually, and now she can't form emotional connections. And even when she struggles to do, there's never sexual attraction there. So how does she unpack or confront, as you've been saying quite often?
So what is she asking?
She's asking, is there hope for her? What does she do? Is she going to be like this forever?
Okay. First of one of the first things that you have to know is that there's definitely hope for you, right? You're not broken. You're not broken, because I feel like that's one of the things that we tell ourselves once we go through a traumatic experience like this. Like, we start trying to find out who are we going to blame. Sometimes we even put all the blame on ourselves, right? But you're not broken, definitely, right? Start by acknowledging that it was not your fault that most of these things.
It was him, not you.
It was him, not you, right? It was never your fault that most of these things happened to you, right? Once you acknowledge that and you know that there's a way forward,
then that's the first step. You're on the right track.
You're on the right track. You're on the right journey, right? And then the second thing is to see a counselor or a therapist, right? They would help you de-escalate some of these things and put you on the right track to your process of healing. So yeah,
because you can't. You truly, most of the time, I think there's this saying that if you want to go fast, go alone.
Yeah.
But if you want to go far, go together. So if you put it in this context, I'll just say Working with a therapist will help you get to where you want to go, both far and fast. It will help you process it from a professional point of view because you, or the only perspective you have is yours. So like seeing a therapist will expand this
Yes,
reach. Do you understand?
exactly.
So yeah, you even writing this is a good step that you're self-aware of the fact that something is wrong and you even have knowledge of the root of it, and that is also very important. So yeah, just see a therapist and continue in this line. And I'm honestly rooting for you. I'm hoping to think it's a dilemma next time and it's actually like a testimony or some progress. So the next question or this dilemma, my parents don't like when I go out. I'm the third of four children and my elder,
That's the same.
no, it's different.
Okay, okay,
They just have something in common.
okay, okay, okay,
African
okay,
parents
okay.
not allowing you
Oh,
go out.
okay.
I'm the third of four children, and my older brothers are very obedient children. Not to say I don't obey my parents, but I'm not the type of person to keep shots when someone is expecting me to act in a way that I don't understand or like. I and my brother are more extroverted, my younger brother, so we enjoy leaving the house to go on adventures. But my parents would rather make us stay indoors. They say it's because the world is a dangerous place and Nigeria is not safe. But truth be told, that's always been the case. I've always obeyed because I'm still dependent on them. But the awareness of the world has made me lose out in opportunities and experiences that could have benefited my life greatly. I'm on the edge and I am ready to start leaving the house without their permission. And I'm going and start going for overnight events, which they hate. How do I convince my parents to chill? All right, chill. And
Mm-hmm.
let me have this opportunity. So before you even answer that,
Mm-hmm.
this is so relatable because
Actually,
this was me a couple years ago. And truth be told, I actually rebelled. I started going out. I'm not, don't, that's not my advice. So. I mean, you're here for him, not for me. But I'll just tell you that
for both of us.
I actually rebelled. I started going out often. I started using public transport. That's why now there's nowhere in Lagos that you want me to go that I cannot go with public transport because on my own, with my small change, I was flying bus, jumping bus from secondary school as early as SS2. I started going on adventures. Do you understand? So, and I don't have any regrets. You know what? I don't even mind. Rebel. Oh no, don't rebel. Oh my god. You know, like personally, I would say just talk to them for the sake of the audience I'm trying to preach to.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say honor your father and your mother, so your days will be long. But also try to have an understanding with them that their aim is to protect you, but it's doing more harm than good because you want to experience life, you want to have an adventure, and I understand the feeling of that consistent urge to just want to explore. To get to a point you just explode and you just do some things
That's
and
true.
you don't want it to get there. So try and have adult conversations. A lot of times when we try to talk with our parents, we talk to them as children. Try and talk to them as adults. They like meet them where they are and talk to them instead of nagging and grudging and just rolling on the floor. They will never want to engage or respect you. But if you talk to them as an adult, like, hey dad, hey mom, I know how difficult it is. Come on, right, Africa. But I had to find myself to get there. How far? This thing way they do. I'm not saying speak pidgin to your parents. If they slap you, don't come and say this
Mm-hmm.
said. But just from those little steps, you understand. Just try and have an understanding with your parents. I remember that the group session we had, and Gabe was literally saying something around this. Like, your parents, the
Yeah,
things that upset them. So now you're planning to rebel. You're still under their roof. So you don't want to trigger them or agitate them that they now want to consciously try to punish you more. That is the advice. The what I said earlier is advice I'd have given back in the day. But I remember that I am now a changed man. So I would say just try and talk to them and let them see it from your perspective. So over to you, Gente.
okay, so I think I have like a a
Conflicting.
not really conflicting. In a way, I think it's conflicting because I've had this type of experience before, right?
Okay.
But I would say, what's the probability of you talking to your African parents as an adult when they still see you as a child?
Mm.
Do you understand? Like you're saying we should have an adult conversation where they still see you as a child. So no matter what you say, right, they would still definitely see you as a child, right? I feel like for African parenting, right, I would say that they have to see a level of responsibility
Mm.
for them to be able to award you. I don't know that you're like they have to see a level of responsibility for
That
them to
you've
be able to
actually
award. Do you
grown.
understand that? Because I want us to establish the fact that at the end of the day, your parents love you and they're trying to protect you. Maybe,
Hopefully they do.
do you understand? Like maybe at a point in their life they've seen other children, right? It might be their own trauma that they've seen, maybe people that they were related to, or
Mm-hmm.
something that happened in their lifetime that somebody went out and did not come back. And all those their decisions can just be in a way to actually just protect you so that you
Yeah,
don't go
like
out
when
and
your African mother will have a dream the night before you go out.
exactly. Do you understand? So I feel like for African parents, right, they have to see a level of responsibility before they give you something. It's like a give and take relationship. Do you understand?
Mm.
But I feel like in another way, conversations can help, right? Because most of the time they're just scared for you. They're scared that what if African parents they can think the worst of scenarios in this life. Like what if you go out and the world falls, the earth explodes, the
Mm.
bombing that happened in Ikeja 2002 happens again. Do you understand? There's just a lot of things that are happening, and they can just imagine the worst, right? And in a bid to protect you, they say no, although they like it can become very extreme, right?
Mm.
And they limit you from doing the things that you're meant to do as
Yeah,
a
so like you said,
kid.
show some level of
Show some
responsibility.
level
For
of
example,
responsibility.
something that you could try to do is, um, Mom, let me go to the market for you. That is you going out. And then if you want to go out another time and she's like, it's not serious, but I'm not saying go and manipulate her, but then you subtly remind her that well, you let me go to the market that is not
Yeah,
so close by. So just picture it like that. Picture I'm going to the market and let me go. Just those little things. I mean, experiment. You have time. Hopefully, not too long because everybody wants to branch out and just
true.
be on their own.
True.
But
And sorry,
mhm,
and be as respectful, right, as possible. You can still communicate what you want to say without disrespecting your parents,
rebellion
right?
is very
Be as
expensive. So if you know
respectful
you're
as
still
possible.
dependent, I don't think you can afford to be
Exactly.
rebellious. So the next question: why do African parents let their okay, this was addressing this. Why do African parents let their traumas and fears cloud their children's lives, causing the kids not to have an experience or an actual life where they can make their own mistakes and understand themselves instead of making it when they are older?
Hmm. So I think in this,
The person is basically asking what we just discussed, like
okay,
why is it so? Why are African parents like that? I think personally they're
it's
just projecting their past.
exactly, and they want to look for a way to protect you first so that you don't experience what they had experienced, right?
Because I mean, for some of your parents, these people saw the Biafran War or some sort of war, so
Yeah,
they've seen things. So if they are scared, give them benefit of doubt or give them cut them some slack. They've actually gone
cut
through a
them some
lot
slack.
for them to be this protective. Well, I mean, I can't answer. No, neither of us are African parents, so we can't exactly. So, but this question that you've asked, like, try and sugarcoat it and ask them one day. Like, Daddy, why is
Like
it? Why
why?
is it that you're so scared of me? Like, what happened to you? If I turn it to therapy session,
Actually,
Daddy,
and
What happened to you? You can talk to me, okay? What
let
happened?
them share their experiences,
Yeah,
right?
get them to be open with you, and things will just fly from there. So this question: why do African parents love? I saw this one. That's why I laughed. Why do African parents love black pen so much? My dad used to beat me because I brought him blue pen. Hopefully, this is not deeper than the way I've read it. Because if it's deep and I'm laughing, I'm so sorry. Well, I'm laughing because I love black pen a lot. Like in secondary school, my secondary school friends put that test. There was even a thread on Twitter the other day, and they were speaking like, this is Bill. I hate blue pens rather. There was a time we had an exam. I didn't have a black pen. Someone offered me a blue pen. I said no, and I used a pencil to write the quiz. Of course, the teacher gave me zero for using a pencil in her quiz. I was in second. Why using pencil in secondary school? But I didn't still learn. Why? The same thing happened. As if the devil was just trying to pull my legs. Maths exam. Someone stole my pen. You know that I waited for the person next to me that had a black pen to finish before I started doing my exam. I mean, I
Hmm.
was short of time, but I still got a B. I mean, when the brains are there, the brains are
I
there. I don't need
think
to gloat. But yeah, I can't answer this either. But personally, if you bring me blue pen as my child, maybe me too, I'll beat you because I don't want to see blue pen. And I'm a calligraphy artist. I do calligraphy. Calligraphy in blue pen is hideous to me. Like black is just so lovely on paper. Like it contrasts the white so well, and it just makes sense. So I don't know. Anyway, that's what I have to say on that. So I don't know if there's something you want to chip in, but that was the question. Why do African parents love black men? I didn't even know it was a general thing. Like I used to think it was a meeting because my friends would be like, "I'm not normal" or "I'm so weird." Like why do I love black pen so much? But apparently it's a common thing, and I'm glad that we have a community of black pen
Well,
lovers.
I don't relate to that because my parents and me, I don't like. I mean, I can use any
You can
pen.
use any
I
pen.
can use any pen.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, my aunt told me Indomie kind of looks like worms. Never ate it till date. Let me just say, see some relatives that our parents are allowed to live with us, they play so much in trauma
Shaping, yeah, in
and
shaping
in
our
shaping you
beliefs.
generally. So parents need to be more intentional about the relatives they bring so close. And I don't mean to shake any tables, but a lot of abuse cases back in the day, I don't know about now, but it became a concurrent thing that they were always uncles. My uncle did
Yeah.
this to me, my uncle did that to me. And sometimes it might not even be like blood. It might just be one boy that they came to wash the car every day and it's not worth it if you cannot vouch for this person's character to have them in your home with your children that are still growing. Like,
Yes.
do you understand? So let me continue. My aunt found so like this person now you're saying you found worms or Indomie looks like worms. Why are you telling the child that? Is that not already in his own trauma?
Do you get
Like
like forever the child will
why would I
anytime
want
the
to
child
eat
sees an
exactly
indomie,
you see
they'll
worms. I
imagine
mean see
worms.
how I can't imagine how old this person is. Definitely not anything less than 18 and this is still on their mind. That
Yeah.
is trauma. It
Hmm.
is embedded in your brain. So why will you do that? Okay, it goes on. No. My aunt found a cockroach in my hair. I don't even know how. Show me die. There was no cockroach in your hair. She carried that cockroach in her hand and brought it out and said, "Ah, that's what I found." People can be so mean like that, too.
Whoa.
Honestly, that's what I'm seeing here. I don't know if I might be wrong. And so now I hate those things so much. I mean, of course, he hates cockroaches, but Indomie is innocent. Anyways, my aunt loves scary movies. I couldn't sleep well in the dark for a long time. My parents are busy people, so they left me in her care. My primary school taught us to fear teachers. So till now, I think these are just like a series of events that built on
Okay.
trauma. My primary school taught us to fear teachers. So till now, I have a guarded relationship with lecturers because I do not relate with them well. My dad is in the medical field, and whenever I follow him to work, I see gruesome things. As an anatomy student, I apologize daily for what you've seen. I can imagine what you've seen. I hate blood, and if I see anything that's meant to be inside a person outside, then I just go in a state of shock. I stayed far away from that line of career and chose art in secondary school straight off. There are a lot of things, but just manage this set of dilemmas. So what do you have to say? Like this person is just sharing a series of things that just compiled into childhood trauma or traumatic events. Like I mean, being a child and your dad taking you to work to see someone's you're seeing a liver that's meant to be inside the body, outside the body, like that. I don't. Parents need to be very
Very
careful.
actually, and I will say that right, parents actually need to be careful what they expose their children
Yeah,
to at a young, like in their formative age, right? Because what they learn in that time can literally last them a lifetime,
a
right?
lifetime.
So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like parents should be very careful. And it's important that you know that this you can be more than this, right? I know that you may be scared and there are a lot of things, but you can be more than this. You can learn to
And to the aunt, if by any chance you see this, God is watching you, and you will pay for these gruesome crimes that you've done
dearly
to this person. Because
actually.
why? You have a child there, and you remember that you love scary movies. Like for the sake of the child, there, can you watch something that is suitable for his age bracket or her age bracket? Why are you watching scary movies? And now you're the one who's still finding cockroach in his head and telling him that are you not from hell?
To
Like you need
paint a
to
picture.
like it's exactly it's a nasty mental picture. I'm angry on your behalf. Moving on. Oh, this one looks very interesting. This happened to me in secondary school. I was in GSS 3 and for some reason, still naive, don't judge yourself. The teacher told me to go to see another staff in his office. So when I got there, I delivered the errand and when I was about to leave, the staff started making advances to me and started touching me. He didn't want me to go. It was crazy thinking back. Sha, that was the beginning of my wahala. He would see me and call me to his office, and the stupid me, again, don't judge yourself, not still getting my footing was what with what was going on, still went to him. He would touch me, make me sit on his lap, and stuff like that. Then I remembered one time I was gisting with a friend. He saw me and called me to his office. It was in the evening. This was getting really intense. Thank God his senior walked in. I heard he's married now. I wish him the worst. I don't blame you. He resigned for another job, so he left school. I'm a guy, by the way. Interesting. That was like the icing on the cake.
That's
He's a guy.
oh, okay.
So yeah, a male staff was harassing him in
Was that
secondary school. So what do you have to say?
when he was writing, right? He was painting it like first of all he's angry at himself.
Yeah, there was a
You
lot of
understand? I
judgment.
mean, there was a lot of self-judgment that I caused it. Maybe
Yeah, I
there was
was
a way
naive.
if you understand, I might have believed that might have lured this man to me or want this man to like prey on me and all of that,
It's not
right?
you. Like it's never you. It's
Obviously,
always them.
you should know that it is not your fault, right?
Mhm.
It is not your fault.
And you're blaming yourself for being naive in GS3. What of the staff?
Like I
I
mean,
mean, he's that old. Is he
do you
not also
understand?
equally as naive?
What we expect other people to do, especially in a young age, is to protect us. So when we see somebody that maybe we admire or we look up to, our point is not that they would abuse us, is that they would protect us even, and I mean, even when it comes to us, right? And so you experiencing that kind of thing, I can just imagine how of a scar that would lead to you. But you have to understand that it was never your fault.
Mm.
Never your fault. It was never your fault.
So just do away with any self judgment, and
And
I
if
hope. Okay.
okay, and if there's a way you can confront that situation, I feel like you should do it,
How
right?
would
If there's a way you
confronting?
can confront it, like reaching out to him,
I doubt they would have any contact because
maybe getting some form of justice because that was a case of sexual abuse, right?
I mean, like, remember that we're in Nigeria, and this is same-sex abuse, something that doesn't happen often, and you can never blame someone that doesn't speak out because or in a place that is not exactly welcoming to these kind of things.
True.
He might come out and do this, and then like all these years, you probably like that is why we have this type of conversations. We're trying
Yeah.
to normalize mental health conversations and reduce the stigma because I know people would say things like, I'm sure you enjoyed it. You're a guy, you probably still, but you're not addressing the fact that a staff that had access to so many other students who
Right,
probably
I see.
suffered this as well. Do you understand?
Yes.
Who knows? Maybe that was why he even had to leave. He got unlucky and got caught. And you understand? Like it's so. Um, However way you want to confront this, I sincerely pray for a discerning spirit to just guide you. And I would always still encourage therapy and journaling. You understand? So the last dilemma that I will be sharing today goes as thus. A lot of people, young and old, do not realize that they have been abused. True. I'm not talking about physically, but emotionally. I believe emotional abuse is not taken as seriously or recognized as much as it should be. The scars left are not easy to heal. The effects sometimes fester and grow to a point that all they know becomes their norm and they transfer that to their children or to their own relationships. Sometimes the cycle continues. Sometimes they can't take it anymore and they end it. How can we change that in others and ourselves? I think I want you to answer this first. This is not the end, but I want you to just let's divide it. So the person is asking how to end the cycle of emotional abuse because of the things that they probably grew up with and stuff like that. So
Okay, I think one of the ways to end abuse, right, is by education, right? Educate yourself. Know that the fact that it was a cycle doesn't mean that it has to continue with you, right? You can choose to unlearn, right? Most of the things that we've learned, that we've picked up while growing up, right? Because I feel like in the case of our parents, right, something might have happened to them, but they didn't necessarily put in the effort to unlearn some of those things. And so that cycle continues, right? And that's how you see it going from generations to generations. My father did this to me, and so I'm doing it to my kids, and maybe I expect my kids to do it to another person, right? But it doesn't have to be that way. You can be the person that would stop
end
the
that
breach,
generational
that
cycle.
would end it. So education, you do not have to continue it. unlearn a lot of
And
things.
that is something that people need to know. People think that learning has to do or growing has to do a lot with learning new things, but even
Has to be
more times it has to do
unlearning,
with unlearning a lot
unlearning.
of things. Because you won't move forward until you change your perspective on so
True.
many things. The last episode that we dropped was actually on personal growth. Oh, and by the way, thank you guys for the birthday wishes. The
Mhm.
love was immense, the gifts, everything. So, anyways, coming back. So that was the anniversary episode on personal growth, and I think there was also one dilemma that I did share, but it was more like an addition. If I remember the name, I think it was Ant-Man Edwards Anthony. You guys are very funny with these things. But the person was just in this line saying things like this, that most times you need to unlearn things, and growing is not always, it's not just about the age. Like you can, growing is constant, so you would always grow.
Yes.
It's how you're growing that matters. And whether you're growing in a way that is impactful or is derogatory to your person. So unlearning a lot of things is as important or even more important than learning new things every
Unlearning.
day. So yeah. And the second part is, I'm asking from the point of someone that has lived in such an environment all my life, and I only noticed it when I saw the traits I despise in myself. Help me, please. I don't want it to be too late. She said, please, oh, or he said, please, oh.
Okay, just like as I said earlier, right? I feel like you have to acknowledge that this is something that has persisted for so long that you may be experiencing some of these things and it feels like it is entering into your adulthood, right? But it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. You can choose to unlearn some of the things and relearn, right? There's something called relearning, there's something called unlearning, right? Unlearn some of the things that you might have picked up. It doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be like this. And I will always say that unlearning is harder than learning because unlearning has to do with intentionality, right? You can learn anything. I mean, you can learn anything like this in a particular, but unlearning is very, very hard. It has to do with intentionality. You wanting to, I must stay on this. And even when you make mistakes, you said, okay, I want to do this, and you still stay on it and unlearn. So unlearning is, you have to be more intentional about it. You have to want to do it. You have to want to be better for yourself and for the people that are to come, for the people that may be affected by it. So you have to be intentional about unlearning.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. That's actually all the dilemmas that we had up until this recording. So if you have questions, I could send them to him later. You could reach out to me, follow our social media. But before we go, what other steps or advice do you give to people that are suffering from childhood trauma? I know there are so many people that saw that form, but just couldn't get themselves to even feel it or to pour their heart out. So, what do you have to say to people that are suffering from childhood trauma?
Okay, so there was something that you said, I think, in the process of reading the questions, right, that I wanted to refer back to, but
Okay.
I will do that now. Is that most of the times the people that put this trauma or that made us experience this trauma, sometimes they are not even aware that they did this to us, right? Like, give some instance. Sometimes when we confront our parents about some of the things, and they are like, they are unaware, like, I do not even know that these things happen to you, right? And it's genuine. It's not like some were intentional about it. Some parents really wanted to hurt us, right? But some people, some of those, like some of the parents that maybe it might have been that they were learning themselves how to become parents, right? Sometimes it might be that they were in their process. I mean, people do not know that they might be doing some of these things to you, right? And I feel like for that part, you have to forgive them, right? Because I feel like that is one part of trauma that we have to
You
acknowledge.
have to let go.
Forgiveness, right? You have to forgive some of those people, right? Sometimes when you confront the issue, sometimes they genuinely do not know. Just like I had said, right? Our parents sometimes they did not know. Some of them were learning to be adults, and children came, and so with all the pressure that has happened, with every single thing that has happened, sometimes they come home and they say some things and they're not intentional about doing those things to us, right? But it happened. So some of the times you have to forgive them, and I feel like that's one of the ways to heal from trauma, right? Forgiveness is a very, very strong part of it. You have to forgive some of the people that did it because it wasn't intentional first of the first of
In the first place.
in the first place. So yeah, that's one of the things that I would like to say, and I mean that is really, really important to say.
So if you have further questions, you're free to in the comments, ask again in the forums, and just let love lead. And that's something about forgiveness. They don't know, like to you, to them, they are doing their thing. To you, they've done something so unforgivable, and you're
Yeah,
just holding so much bitterness in your heart, and they're just going about their day. So and you're in a cage with yourself. Like it's different when you're in the cage together, but it's just you. They're going about their day. They are probably hurting people along the way, but
true.
you're taking it personal, and you're just going into that very dark place. So I'll just say, like I said, forgive, let love lead, give grace. You know, before I used to be kind of what's the word skeptical. Okay, yeah, about preaching or talking about my relationship with God on the podcast, but I think I'm now more comfortable with that because I know how much that has helped me. And I'm not saying, you know what, don't worry, we're still getting there. We're not yet there.
True.
But
And
I will just say that let love lead and be open to confrontation. A lot of people run away from that. You have to be able to confront some things for you to address it. And those conversations are never easy. We have to be ready for those hard conversations because the growth that comes after is so much more rewarding than just being in constant silence and fear. And the cycle really never ends if you stay silent sometimes.
And just like he said, right, about confrontations, right? There are some types of there are some childhood trauma that you should be able to confront, right? That you should, for you to
Heal.
heal from them, right? You should be able to confront it, and maybe just ask, why did this happen? Why did you do this to me, right? Sometimes it might mean you sitting down with the person that inflicted that trauma on you, right? To ask them, oh, why did you do this? Why did this happen? And
Mm.
sometimes it might even be just to find a form of closure, right? Whether it's your fault, whether it's their fault. Do you understand? In any way, just so that you find a form of closure in a way,
An
right?
inner peace.
And inner peace, right? And I feel like, see, you cannot heal when you're not ready to feel. The reason why
Mm.
people are running away from confronting these things is because of some people are very, very scared to scratch some surfaces, right? Because when you begin to dig deep on a wound, it becomes like a hot
Bloody.
small, right? A hot small, and that's why we are running away. So instead of me confronting this, let me just look for a way to avoid it and run away, and I
Avoidance.
will still be feeling whatever I'm feeling. And that is bad because it doesn't, like, it does more harm than good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that thing is still there. So you should be able to, or you should be ready to feel. You should be ready to feel because, again, as I said, you cannot heal when you're not ready to feel.
Snaps fingers.
Confront, confront that situation. And sometimes it's okay to find closure in not finding closure. I don't know that that
Ah,
makes sense, right?
is
Sometimes it's okay to find closure in not finding closure. Like, just be at peace that I might never get to the end of this, so let me just let it go.
let's go.
Let me just let it
Let's
go.
go.
It's very, very fine to find closure. And at the end of the day, I'm rooting for you, and I
Yeah, I'm rooting for
wish
you
you
as
that, and
well.
I wish that you know, I'm sending you all the love and all the light that you need in this your journey because
Mm.
it's a really tough journey.
And
When you
it's a
decide to
long one
take it,
too.
it's a tough one. But I'm sending you all the love and light, and I pray that God be with you. Indeed. Thank
So
you
yeah,
very much.
we've come to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and yeah, listen to other episodes because a lot of these things are interlinked, and the things that we've said in the past would also help. So from Chain Tail of Safe Space and
Yeah.
Bill of Friends Unfiltered. By the way, I'm wearing merch. I don't know if you noticed, but like this is merch from the podcast. So if you want to get, just help me. I'm just joking. But yeah, thank you so much and have a lovely time. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.